please go ahead. Otherwise, we will start with the session. Yes, very good. So no queries. Uh, so now we will start with the session. The session, I hope you are well prepared on the cases.
Yes, sir.
During the last lecture, we had decided that we will be discussing the case related to Videocon and ICICI, case related to Punjab National Bank, and the case which is related to the Kingfisher airline. So anyone who has prepared for that, please start.
Sir, actually, I have gone through with Kingfisher and Satyam. So I can tell you currently about Satyam first, but if it is allowed.
Satyam, what has happened, Neha, is we have already discussed, I think, at length, we have discussed that Satyam computer system case during the last semester when we were discussing corporate governance, right?
Yes, sir.
So still, if anyone is prepared for any other, say Punjab National Bank, we had not discussed, then I don't think that we had discussed this ICICI and Videocon group also.
So
first, we will start with that PNB or that, and if the time permits, we can discuss the Satyam computer system also. Yes, please go ahead.
So, not sure if Punjab National Bank PNB fraud related to Nirav Modi, right? No, I'm not sure.
Yes, it is.
Okay, sir.
It is related to.
Yes, sir. तो मुझे थोड़ा ही पता है उस बारे में. Actually, I have not gone through much, but I know.
No problem. Please go ahead.
So, sir, जो ये Nirav Modi थे, he was, I mean, economic offender in 2019, I think, and उनका कुछ उन्होंने कुछ 14,000 crore का स्कैम किया था by opting the credit facility from PNB Bank, and I think he has asked PNB Bank to give a loan because he was trying to get उनको ये जो डायमंड थे वो उनको वहां से मतलब फॉरेन से लेके आना था. I think that was the concern. Nirav Modi has put this point in front of Punjab National Bank, and then Punjab National Bank was worried कि वो कैसे उनको देंगे. However, some SWIFT और कुछ तो एक कोड था, मतलब मैंने थोड़ा बहुत ही पढ़ा है, और उन्होंने they have agreed to give loan to Nirav Modi, और फिर इंडिया से वो फ्रॉड हुआ था. मींस उसमें पंजाब नेशनल बैंक को भी काफी लॉस हुआ था. एंड आई थिंक नीरव मोदी आफ्टर दैट ही एक्सेप्टेड कि उन्होंने वो फ्रॉड किया है, और पंजाब नेशनल बैंक भी मतलब लॉस में चला गया था. एंड आई थिंक आई मीन नीरव मोदी इज बेसिकली ज्वेलर डिजाइनर, एंड उन्होंने कुछ अंडरटेकिंग लेटर भी दिया था पंजाब नेशनल बैंक को. मींस तो आई थिंक पंजाब नेशनल बैंक की भी गलती थी कि उन्होंने मतलब ट्रस्ट किया और विदाउट एनी मतलब मेजर कंसर्न ना रखते हुए उन्होंने इतना उनको देने का डिसीजन लिया. सर मेरे को थोड़ा बहुत पता है एक्चुअली.
नहीं, very good.
बस
नहीं, very good. The information is absolutely correct. Yes. Anyone else? Yes, anyone else? Please go ahead. First, we will try to discuss about PNB, then we will shift to ICICI and Videocon Industries, and then, if the time permits, we will discuss Satyam computer system. Okay, so only Neha. Okay, no problem. As Neha has rightly said that PNB is Punjab National Bank, and the very famous scam which has taken place and which has resulted in loss of 9,000 crore to Punjab National Bank. So the total loss, we are not discussing, as she said that it was around 14,000 or more than that. That was the total loss, but the loss of Punjab National Bank was 9,000 crores. And the modus operandi was that LOU. Is anybody aware of what is LOU? LOU. Okay, LOU is letter of
The letter of
understanding.
undertaking. Yes, sir.
Letter of understanding it is.
Okay, understandings.
Yeah, it is letter of understanding. And this letter of understanding is supposed to be given by a bank. Undertaking is always given by the person who is applying for the loan. That I promise that whatever loan I will be taking, I will return that loan with interest within the stipulated time. That is the undertaking which a person is supposed to give, or guarantee which a person is supposed to give when he is applying for a loan. Letter of understanding is a concept which a bank is supposed to give to the other bank, that in case the person fails to pay the loan of that particular bank with interest, the bank which is issuing letter of understanding is liable to pay that loan. Now, why Punjab National Bank issued letter of understanding? Because it's a legal document, very uh, what we can say secret type of document, very confidential document. It is given only if the bank is fully satisfied or bank is in possession of the property of the concerned person under whose name the bank is issuing this letter of understanding. Now, Mr. Nirav Modi, this scam started in the year 2011 and it continued till 2018 or 19. Now, in 2011, as Neha has already said, that he was involved in jewelry business. He was assisted, or his partner was his uncle Mehul Choksi. So Mehul Choksi and Nirav Modi, two main players, were there. Now Nirav Modi in 2011 approached the Punjab National Bank that he has applied for loan in some foreign bank. So if the foreign bank has informed him that if some Indian bank gives the letter of understanding in his name, in the name of Mr. Nirav Modi, then only that foreign bank will clear his loan. So somehow Mr. Nirav Modi got that letter of understanding issued in his name from Punjab National Bank. And that was the reason why the foreign bank gave that loan to Mr. Nirav Modi. So on 8 occasions between 2011 to 2017, on 8 occasions, this letter of understanding was issued in the name of Mr. Nirav Modi to different foreign banks where Mr. Nirav Modi has applied loan. So all the loans were clear. Why? Because an official document, it is considered as an official document, which means that the concerned bank, the bank which is issuing that letter of understanding, is taking the guarantee of the person in whose name the letter is issued, LOU is issued. Later on, when the scam came into light, and when how the first we will discuss that how the scam came into light. Now in 2017, sorry, in 2000 till 2017, this was in operation, that letter of understandings were issued and he used to get the loan from the foreign bank. Now these foreign banks were the branches of Indian banks who were operating in some other countries, maybe Central Bank of India, State Bank of India, Punjab National Bank, who are also having branches in some other countries. Now in 2000 and late 17 and early 18, when the banks were not getting their loans back, the installments were delayed, the installments lapsed, the bank informed Punjab National Bank that as the person in whose name you had issued the letter of understanding has become defaulter, is not repaying the loan. Now, you being the bank issuing LOU, you shall pay the entire loan. And when this letter was issued, letter was received by the Punjab National Bank, they were shocked. They checked everything, they verified everything, and then they communicated, informed the foreign bank that we had not issued a single letter of understanding in the name of Mr. Nirav Modi. And the foreign banks were claiming 8 such LOUs. कि 8 बार आपने LOU इश्यू किया है, इस वजह से अलग अलग बैंकों ने अलग अलग देशों के मिस्टर नीरव मोदी को लोन दिया है. Now the bank, the Punjab National Bank, when they were shocked that how a foreign bank can claim that Punjab National Bank has given the LOU when it has not. Punjab National Bank approached the Central Bureau of Investigation. They also approached the Enforcement Directorate, and inquiry was conducted by CBI. And when the CBI conducted an inquiry, 2 employees of the bank, Mr. Manoj Kharat and Mr. Shetty, they were involved in issuing this letter of understanding. So the senior officials of the bank were not at all aware of that. Some manipulated or fake, we can say, fake letter of understandings were issued. But as it was issued on the letterhead of the bank, that is Punjab National Bank, duly signed, duly stamped, so everything was there. And it was there because the bank officials, 2 main bank officials, they were involved, they were caught. And when the total amount was calculated, it came to 9,000 loss for Punjab National Bank. So that was the complete loss for Punjab National Bank. Later on, the inquiry started taking place. And when the Enforcement Directorate and CBI tried to investigate Mr. Nirav Modi or Mehul Choksi, suddenly they disappeared from the country. So that was the case of Punjab National Bank. Now, as we are discussing this case from the point of view of business ethics, ethical practices, so the main problem why this transaction took place, why these letters were issued, letter of understanding. So here the ethics were violated by the employee of the bank himself. They had violated the ethics. Not only they had violated the ethics, but the agencies which have been created or constituted for keeping a watch, for monitoring the organizations which are into such type of dealings. They also completely failed to do their job. Now, why we are saying that this particular case is very much related to ethical practices? It is not that ED was completely failed. ED is completely failed in this case, or one more department is there, and that department is called as ROC. ROC, anyone who is aware of what is ROC? So ROC is registrar of companies. So all the companies are to be registered under the Companies Act, under registrar of companies. They also failed to check this violation. And the most important violation was made by the PMO, Prime Minister's Office. Now, how PMO is related to this scam, where we can say that the purview of or PMO or Prime Minister's Office do not control the companies directly or indirectly. But why PMO is involved, and why the most important fault which was mistake which was committed, we can say in this case, was by PMO, that is the Prime Minister's Office. And the reason is, when this scam was taking place, that he got one loan sanctioned, then another loan sanctioned, then another loan sanctioned. And when it came to light that he was not paying his loans, he was only getting loans. But when it came to repayment, he was not ready to repay. So modus was that apply to a new bank for a loan, get the LOU from Punjab National Bank, submit that LOU to the foreign bank, and get the loan. Once loan is sanctioned, he never repaid the loan of the first bank. Suppose, normally what happens is that if I am having some financial problem, what a common person will do? He has applied for loan in one bank and the bank has issued the loan. Now, this common gentleman is unable to repay the loan. So he applied in some other bank and that loan was also sanctioned. Then generally what a person do is that he will try to clear the first bank's loan. That is the general tendency. But his tendency was, right from the beginning, unethical practices were implemented by Mr. Nirav Modi. He has a very clear intent that I will be applying for loan, and when I'll get the loan, I'm not going to repay the loan. That was the clear intent. So this type of intent is called as unethical. It is against our ethos. So Indian ethos is not that you apply for a loan and when you are sanctioned a loan, you are not ready to repay. That is not Indian ethos. That is not Indian culture. So now we again will come to PMO, how PMO is related to this. Then in 2017, or sorry, in 2016 or 17, a person, I'm not getting the name of the person, I'm unable to recall that. So that person, he wrote a letter in the name of Prime Minister Office, PMO. And in that letter, he clearly mentioned the modus operandi of Mr. Nirav Modi, that how he is committing financial irregularities, because that particular person has seen that in 2011 he applied for loan, he secured the loan, and although his business was flourishing, but because his intent was unethical, his intentions were very clear that I am not going to repay the loan. So all these things, that this particular gentleman is involved in this, how he is committing the fraud, that was also brought to the notice of Prime Minister Office. Who are the persons involved? How the letter of understandings are being issued by Punjab National Bank? So it was requested to Prime Minister Office by that particular gentleman who has written that letter, that once again a fraud is taking place. So please take a strict action. Otherwise, it will become a very big fraud. And that letter, that application or letter, we can say, that was acknowledged by Prime Minister Office. Acknowledged means that inward number was there. It was inward. And later on, the ROC, that is, but no action was taken on that particular letter. It was completely ignored by the Prime Minister Office. So in 2016, the letter was received. And in 2017, again, Mr. Nirav Modi got one loan sanction from a foreign bank. Now, in the year 2017, the ROC, that is Registrar of Companies, instead of the Prime Minister Office, to whom the letter was addressed by the complainant, the ROC informed the complainant, the person who has written the letter related to that fraud. Registrar of Company, that is ROC, informed the person that your case is closed. It doesn't have the evidences or proofs. There is no such thing happening. So your case is closed. That took place in 2016. Now, suppose if ethical principles are involved, if Prime Minister's Office had ethically acted on it, that if a person is writing an application, writing a letter with all the details, it is the responsibility of Prime Minister Office to inform other concerned departments that this is the letter which we have received and you have to act on this letter. Had this happened, then it would have been possible for the ED or Registrar of Companies or other financial departments controlled by government to stop that financial irregularities. That is why ethical principles or ethics is very important. So here there was complete failure of ethics. No ethics at PMO level, no ethics at ED level, no ethics at ROC level. And that was the reason why this particular scam took place. Then again, when in 2018 all these raids started taking place, then also our central agencies or all the departments which are related to this scam, they failed to stop Mr. Nirav Modi and Mehul Choksey to fly out of India. When everybody was aware that this scam has taken place and inquiry has been initiated against the company of Mr. Nirav Modi, then as per rule, he should have been stopped. His passport should have been in the possession of central agencies. But as many officials are involved, many officials were bribed. So we can say because of the ethical practices or misuse of some ethical practices, these scams takes place. If everyone is having some ethics in him or her, अगर सब हम लोग अपने इथिक्स के हिसाब से चलते हैं, अपने कल्चर के हिसाब से चलते हैं, अपने मॉरल्स, अपने वैल्यूज के हिसाब से चलते हैं, जो पहले से ही हमें बता रहे हैं कि ऑनेस्टी इज द बेस्ट पॉलिसी, then this would have never happened. Now later on, when everything came into light that Mr. Mehul Choksey and Mr. Nirav Modi, they have fled out of the country, then immediately the enforcement directorate, which was sleeping till now in this particular case, I am not saying that in all the cases, but in this particular case, because they were not at all active in this case, suddenly they became active, and within a day they confiscated the property of Mr. Mehul Choksey and Mr. Nirav Modi. And it was released in the media by the government agencies that within a day we have successfully recovered property of Mr. Nirav Modi worth 5,000 crore, more than 5,000 crore. So just think about an agency which is in sleeping mode since the start of the scam for say 6, 7, 8, 9 years. So 6 साल तक, 7 साल तक, 8 साल तक, 9 साल तक, जब तक ये सब चल रहा था, भ्रष्टाचार, करप्शन, सॉरी ये स्कैम जब तक चल रहा था, तब तक हमारा एनफोर्समेंट डायरेक्टरेट कुछ नहीं किया उसने. पर जैसे ही न्यूज़पेपर में ये बात आई कि मेन जो स्कैमस्टर्स हैं वो बाहर चले गए, और जब इनके ऊपर सवाल खड़े होने लग गए ईडी के ऊपर, तो इमीडिएटली उन्होंने उसी दिन प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में रिलीज कर दिया कि वी हैव रिकवर्ड दिस मैनी रुपीज. नाउ नो वन इज श्योर whether It is true or it is false. किसने देखा है 5,000 की प्रॉपर्टी है, नहीं है, कन्फिस्केट हुई है, नहीं हुई है? No one is aware of that. So that was the case related to, the case is still on. That was the case related to the Punjab National Bank. Now we will move on to the next case related to the Videocon Industries and the ICICI Bank. Anyone who has read about it, please go ahead. किसी ने पढ़ा है क्या? क्या है वो केस? क्या है वो केस? Am I audible to all? मेरी आवाज आप तक आ रही है क्या?
Yes, sir. We can hear you. Sorry, I was not able to find out mute option.
Okay. So only you are active. Others, I don't think whether they are able to hear me or not. What about others?
Yes, sir, hear me.
Okay, ठीक है. Thank you. Thank you. So now we will start with our next case. The next case is related to the Videocon Group of Industries and the ICICI Bank. Now, Videocon Group of Industries, the chairman of Videocon Group of Industry is Mr. Venugopal Dhoot. He is involved, as well as husband of Mrs. Chanda Kochar, who was the CEO of ICICI Bank, Deepak Kochar. So Deepak Kochar, husband of Mrs. Chanda Kochar, and the chairman of Videocon Group of Industries, Mr. Venugopal Dhoot. They both are involved in this scam. This scam, the investigation is still on. Now, what is this scam that we will be discussing? Now, as most of you might be aware of, the Chanda Kochar was the CEO of the bank. And she was very famous, very powerful lady. Very talented and a very high profile, high performing lady in the banking sector. And since 2012, she was included in the Forbes list of 100 most powerful women in India. Continuously, every year her name was there. She was very powerful. Now, in this case, what has happened is that husband of Mrs. Chanda Kochar, Mr. Deepak Kochar, was a good friend of Mr. Venugopal Dhoot, who is chairman of Videocon Group of Industries. They knew each other since long time. Now, Mrs. Chanda Kochar was CEO of ICICI Bank, and her husband, Mr. Deepak Kochar, was having a energy firm, energy company. Now, in that energy company, Mr. Venugopal Dhoot was partner, and the partnership was 50-50. That means 50% Mr. Venugopal Dhoot and 50% partner was Mr. Deepak Kochar. Now, later on, after some time, Mr. Venugopal Dhoot sold his share or transferred his shares of that particular energy company to a third person, and he appointed that third person as partner in the energy firm. So now, instead of Mr. Venugopal Dhoot, the third person, Mr. Lakhani, or I'm sorry, I'm unable to recall that name. Once I recall, I'll share that name. So that person became partner with Mr. Deepak Kochar. Now, later on, when Mr. Venugopal Dhoot wanted loan for expanding his business of Videocom Industries, he approached the ICICI Bank, and the ICICI Bank gave him loan of 3,600 crores. Plus, Mrs. Chanda Kochar, because of her influence, she convinced the smaller banks also to sanction loan to Mr. Venugopal Dhoot. And many small banks, they also sanctioned the loan because Chanda Kochar was very influential, as well as the Videocon Industries is a renowned company, a large company. So around 40,000 crore rupees were given as loan. That is the total amount of different banks I am talking about. Out of that, more than 3,600 crore was from ICICI Bank. Now, the loan, when such a large loan is sanctioned by any bank, a single person, maybe CEO of the bank, is not given the authority to sanction that single-handedly. Generally, in every company, every bank, the procedure is that a high-level committee is constituted of the top officials of that particular bank. The proposal is tabled before the committee. The committee goes through the proposal and they take the decision unanimously or by majority once they go through the proposal carefully. Now, why this is again related to ethics? Now, the committee which cleared the loan of more than 3,600 crores to Mr. Venugopal Dhoot, in that committee, one of the member was Mrs. Chanda Kochar. As per law, as per rule, as per the ethical principles. Any person who is related to the person who has applied for loan, and that to such a huge loan, that person should not be part of this committee which is given authority to sanction. So it's a practice that every member has to give an undertaking that he or she does not have any relation with the person who has applied for loan. That is one of the document which everyone has to submit. Now, in this case, as Mrs. Chanda Kochar knew Mr. Venugopal Dhoot very well, because he was friend of his husband, he was aware of everything, and still she was aware of everything, and still she was part of that. So that is unethical. It is against the ethics. Now, when this was brought to the notice of Mrs. Chanda Kochar, she defended herself that she was not the signing authority or approving authority. She was just a member of the committee. Chairman of the committee was someone else. So she is not responsible. She cannot be held accountable for that particular loan. Now, here also, when the inquiry was conducted, one thing which was very clear is the influence which she was having on the entire board of ICICI. She was very powerful, very powerful. Now, why she was very powerful? Because in the year 2005, when ICICI Bank started, she was the pioneer. She was the first manager who started or who established this bank. So right from the beginning to the top, she knew everything and she had a very strong hold. So although she is saying that as she was not the chairman, she was not having the sanctioning authority, so she cannot be held accountable for that loan. That is not at all accepted, because everyone was aware of her position, her control, her authority on all the matters in ICICI Bank. Now, when this 40 crores were sanctioned, the total I'm talking about, and out of that 3,600 crore, when Mr. Venugopal Dhoot was unable to repay the loan, and when it became NPA, that is non-performing asset, then the inquiry was conducted, and then this scam came into existence. Now, the most important part here is, now company which was started by Mr. Deepak Kochar and Mr. Venugopal Dhoot. Later on, Mr. Venugopal Dhoot gave the rights of the company to a third person. And when Mr. Deepak Kochar was in need of money, he approached Mr. Venugopal Dhoot, and Mr. Venugopal Dhoot gave him the required amount. And that was before the sanctioning of 3,600 crore by the ICICI Bank. तो जब दोनों पार्टनर थे और जब दीपक कोचर को पैसे की जरूरत पड़ी और उसने वीडियोकॉन इंडस्ट्रीज को अप्रोच किया, मिस्टर वेणुगोपाल धूत को, तो मिस्टर वेणुगोपाल धूत ने कहा कि आई एम रेडी टू गिव यू द लोन, बट इन रिटर्न यू हैव टू ट्रांसफर सम ऑफ द शेयर्स इन माय नेम. तो मिस्टर दीपक कोचर ने वो सैंक्शन अमाउंट लेने के लिए वो शेयर्स ट्रांसफर किए मिस्टर वेणुगोपाल धूत को, उनकी कंपनी के, और उनकी कंपनी का नाम था न्यू लाइफ एनर्जी. अब ये जो न्यू लाइफ एनर्जी कंपनी थी, इसका जो कंट्रोल था, इसके जो मेन शेयर्स थे, वो सारे शेयर्स चले गए मिस्टर वेणुगोपाल धूत. अब वेणुगोपाल धूत जी ने भी किसी थर्ड इंसान को अपॉइंट किया और सारे अपने शेयर्स उनके नाम पर ट्रांसफर कर दिए. और दीपक कोचर को बताया गया कि ही इज द पर्सन हु विल बी रिप्रेजेंटिंग मिस्टर वेणुगोपाल धूत. अब जब 3,600 करोड़ सैंक्शन हुए मिस्टर वेणुगोपाल धूत के लिए, उसी दौरान ये जो कंपनी थी जिसका वर्थ 60-70 करोड़ था, न्यू लाइफ एनर्जी ऑफ मिस्टर दीपक कोचर, जो ये जो थर्ड पार्टी थी मिस्टर वेणुगोपाल धूत के साथ, जिन्होंने जो रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे थे, दैट पर्सन अगेन gave all the shares to Mr. दीपक कोचर. और कितने अमाउंट में दिए गए वो शेयर? 9 लाख रुपए में पूरे शेयर्स वापस से दीपक कोचर के नाम पर ट्रांसफर किए गए, जब उन शेयर्स की वैल्यू 62 करोड़ थी. तो 60-70 करोड़ के शेयर्स 9 लाख में ट्रांसफर किए गए. जब इंक्वायरी हुई, then it was realized that there was a deal. It is still undergoing. It is not proved that whether the deal was there or not, but it is believed that because Mrs. Chanda Kochar played a vital role in clearing the loan of Mr. Venugopal Dhoot, in return, Mr. Venugopal Dhoot returned all the shares worth 60-70 crore to Mr. Deepak Kochar. तो जो प्रीमा फेसी, जो सामने सामने से दिखता है, या जो केस है, उसमें सीधा सीधा ऐसा लगता है कि 60-70 करोड़ रुपए का ट्रांजैक्शन हुआ है. 9 लाख की कंपनी बेची गई जो 60-70 करोड़ की थी, पर अंडर द टेबल शायद कुछ गया जिसकी जांच चल रही है. अगेन, इफ a company is selling the shares of the company, से 62 करोड़ के शेयर्स अगर कोई 9 लाख में बेच रहा है, तो देयर इज समथिंग फिशी इन इट, एंड ethical practices are compromised in that case. And because of that, we can say that there was inappropriate ethical practices in both the companies. In ICICI Bank also, some unethical practices were there, as well as in videocon industries also some unethical practices were there. So 3,600 से ज्यादा करोड़ रुपए का लोन सैंक्शन किया गया, उसके बदले में 60 करोड़ की कंपनी इनको वापस मिली। ऐसा सीधा सीधा समझ में आता है, इसीलिए दिस इज कॉल्ड एज अ स्कैम विच इज रिलेटेड टू बिजनेस इथिक्स। अगर बिजनेस इथिक्स के हिसाब से ही वीडियोकॉन कंपनी करती अपना बिजनेस इथिक्स के हिसाब से, तो ये घोटाला होता ही नहीं। अगर आईसीआईसीआई बैंक इथिक्स को फॉलो करती तो ये घोटाला होता ही नहीं। तो whenever these scams takes place, there is violation of business ethics that we need to remember, right? So that was related to the Videocon and this ICICI Bank scam. Now, two more we will be discussing in the next session. So that will be Satyam Computer System and the Kingfisher Airline. Plus, check in your syllabus if anything is remaining. We will discuss that also. Otherwise, I feel that the next session will be our last session for Indian ethos and business ethics. So if you have any query related to anything, you can raise your query in the next session, or you can send me on WhatsApp or give me a call. I'll try to resolve that query. Okay. So thank
Okay,
you,
sir.
everyone.
Thank you, sir. I will ask you some questions tomorrow.
Yeah, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Come
sir, for the
prepared. So
information.
everyone, please come prepared. If you come prepared, these cases are very interesting. You as MBA final year students, and particularly who are freshers, you should be aware of all these important cases. So
Sir,
please
we will be
read.
going through with Kingfisher. Sorry.
Yeah, Kingfisher, and the
And
next one will be Satyam Computer System. And I think
okay.
one or two are still remaining. I'll check with the syllabus, and then we can, or you can also check in the syllabus. Whatever is
Sir, I
remaining,
think
I
Yes
think,
Bank. I checked in the book. I think Yes Bank.
okay, come prepared for Yes Bank also.
Yes,
Then
sir.
tomorrow we will discuss about Yes Bank also. That
Yes, sir.
what was the reason for the failure of Yes Bank also, right?
Yes, sir. I have gone through with Kingfisher and Yes Bank, so I can. I can uh, tell you something about that.
We will discuss that also,
Yes, sir.
right?
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir. Thank you.
okay, okay. Thank you. Okay, thank you, everyone.